Thanks very much, Richard. I want to extend our thanks to you and to all the speakers once again for what I think has been a great program. So really appreciate all the thoughts that you've delivered today. So let's give them all another round of applause. And it's kind of interesting with J. Carter Brown that may well be one of the first assessments that we're seeing in the rearview mirror of a man who was so important in the history of the commission. So you know, it's been about 8 years since his passing, and we appreciate your taking that on. To recap, you know, we've heard 6 great speakers, as well as our keynote, and there's been a lot of convergence of themes in a way that maybe we didn't even anticipate when we laid out the program for today. They've converged on a number of points. There's obviously a great need to express our collective memories, and the grappling that we're doing is how do we appropriately convey them. There seems to be an agreement that the architecture, particularly in Washington, needs to reflect our culture, that it needs to, that the fact of our political culture, our ideals of freedom and democratic government are not just abstractions, but that they must be manifest in the built environment. The rub is, of course, and as I think our speakers have shown, over time the answer of how do you do this has changed and evolved. And I wish I could read my own handwriting. It's always what happens to me. Of course, if you go back, there was a very great consensus in the early days about classicism, and this consensus eventually frayed due to external issues, changes in technology, changes in aesthetics, and this came to a rolling boil over the Thomas Jefferson Memorial. Again, in the mid-century, we saw basically the formation of a new consensus about modernism and how it would appear. This probably achieved its greatest point in the early 60s under a new era, under Bill Walton during the Kennedy administration, and the lineup of very talented architects who pushed a new kind of aesthetic. Again, by the 70s, this had frayed. We've seen these cycles come and go. Also, we've seen how the work of the commission and these discussions are very closely related to the ebb and flow of the political power, the ebb and flow of presidential interest. It was Taft who set up the commission. His wife was involved in the bringing of the Japanese cherry trees. FDR, Truman left their personal opinions on what should happen in these monuments. The Kennedy White House became involved personally as an advocate for preservation. The Reagan administration wanted to disband the commission. There's just been a very interesting wave here. And another important issue that we wanted to highlight is the role of individuals in achieving what may have been unachievable designs, the distance between the idea and the reality, the implementation into the built form. The idea that you could take a brick Victorian city and in 30 years, between 1900 and 1930, completely recreate the image of this city according to a plan and actually do it in a way that has stuck with us for the last 70 years and is virtually, it's fused with our mental image of Washington, D.C. That's a huge, what Charles Moore was able to do with his great public relations skills. The enduring legacy of Frederick Law Olmsted Jr. in defining the National Mall and these related landscapes, the guidance of J. Carter Brown in piloting an amazing number of projects through a very, as Richard called it, a very divisive era. So, in the end, I think that we can conclude that Washington, the District of Columbia, the national capital, has emerged with its unique character that really has been shepherded to some extent through the work of these individuals, these trends, and the work of the CFA, and it continues to this day. I'd like to point out that these issues are going to, we'll be grappling with them tomorrow at our meeting of the commission. We'll be the Commission will be seeing for the first time an information presentation on the new Presidential Memorial for Dwight D. Eisenhower. All the same issues are going to be talked about: monumentality and scale, the appropriate expression of our collective memory, what is appropriate artistic depiction for commemoration, what is the appropriate language of civic architecture, how do we treat materials in our contemporary period, and what is appropriate in an era when materials are becoming ever more evanescent and temporary. How does that interplay with the idea of a memorial and permanence? So the discussion continues into the second century of the Commission of Fine Arts, and we appreciate your coming today. Thank you very much, the Building Museum, for being amazing hosts and helping in all aspects of this. We can't say enough to Scott, and I can't name all the people, certainly our staff. I'm not going to go through names, but it's been a great effort. Thank you so much for coming.